In the midst of the political wrangling over the debt ceiling, one meeting that took place in Washington has gone largely unreported. In a remarkable show of ecumenical unity, the President met with a wide range of evangelical Christian and Catholic church leaders who warned that in seeking to reduce the national debt, he should be mindful of hurting the poor. One of those who was in attendance was the Reverend Jim Wallis, President and CEO of the Sojourners, a group that campaigns for social justice on the basis of biblical principles. And he joins us now. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, Martin.
In the first epistle of John, chapter 3, verse 17, the writer says, "If anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person?" Can I ask you this? How come so many of these politicians in Washington claim to be devout Christians and yet are determined to slash, cut, remove the very programs that help the poor and seek to fight poverty?
Well, I love it when a media commentator starts with Scripture, Martin. Thank you very much. My wife is an Anglican minister from your Church of England. This is the issue. I mean, the deal is moving, the ball's moving, and we're saying to the President, to Republicans and Democrats, there have to be some principles here. There have to be some moral guidance here. And so we said in the meeting with the President, he quoted Matthew chapter 25. He said, the sacrifice cannot be borne by what he called the least of these. And that's why we were there. We're saying the principle of protecting the poorest and most vulnerable is our major concern here. So whatever deal is made tomorrow, the next day, Monday, we're saying that principle from John, from Matthew, has to be upheld. And if we say we're people of faith, and many of them do, they're ignoring what the Scripture says. They're ignoring what Jesus says here. He says, as you've done to the least of these, you've done to me.
And yet, so many of these politicians seem to think that it's blessed to be poor and that the poor should be the ones who carry, and the middle class, most of the burden, because the top-rated earners, well, there's just a widespread view that there should be no increases in taxes on them.
Well, let me just make a very clear statement here. To destroy the core safety net, which protects the most vulnerable, in favor of tax loopholes for corporations, is simply not a moral choice. That is contrary to the Scriptures.
So that's immoral. That's an immoral position to take, in your view.
It's an immoral choice, yes. And I want to ask members of Congress and the Senate who are people of faith to defend that on the basis of their faith. And they really can't do that. You know, I want to ask, is every item of military spending, every line item, more important than 10.4 million malaria bed nets that they're about to cut to protect kids from dying from malaria? They won't stand up and say that. I'm saying then don't cut it. It's time to look at things like military spending, which I won't even call defense spending, because much of that Pentagon budget doesn't defend us at all. It's a military interest group like the corporation. So, Martin, I would say this. You just say the world's watching. All eyes are in Washington. That's true. The markets are watching. The Democrats, Republicans are watching to see who's up, who's down, who's speaker next time, who wins the election. We're saying God is watching this too. God is watching this debate. And what God is looking for is how we're treating the poorest and most vulnerable.
The Reverend Jim Wallis, I wish we had more time, but for now, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
This is Coach Parker, whose nonstop day starts with back pain and a choice. Take Advil now, and maybe up to 4 in a day. Or choose Aleve and 2 pills for a day free of pain. Way to go, Coach.
We're not asking for your pity or your sympathy. We're not asking for your time or your wallet.
Don't cry.
We're just asking for your promise. Every year in this country, harmful emissions cause thousands of illnesses, asthma-related hospital visits, and even deaths. We're asking every citizen, elected official, and parent in America to promise to protect our children from dangerous pollution. Don't just support cleaner air for our kids, promise it.
Hello? It's water from the drinking fountain at the mall.
Great tasting tap water can now come from any faucet, anywhere. Introducing the Brita bottle with a filter inside.
Hello? Hey, handsome.
The McCann twins for Consumer Cellular.